I'm Hayley.
And I'm Kayli.
And today we're reviewing Anatomy of a Fall. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want me to ask what's on the menu for today?
No.
Oh, that was our signature.
We hadn't done that in a while. Then you started doing it again randomly.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to bring back tradition. Okay. All right.
But yeah, The Anatomy of a Fall. That's it, right? That's the name. That's the show.
That's the movie name, yeah.
Okay. Yep. We watched that. The reason why we watched it, that's what I was going to say. I decided to look at 5 different lists from 5 different websites. And I was like, what are the best movies of the year according to these websites? And then I cross-referenced all of these movies. And I found some commonalities. And the one that was mentioned on, I think, every one of them was this one. And
Okay.
Spider-Man, I think. But we've already talked about her. But it's about a couple. One of them dies. And who done it? That's basically what it is. We go on a trial, and the wife is on trial, and so is her whole fucking marriage. So good luck to you.
Embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. I think that was like the whole thing about the movie. It's like showing that any relationship underneath a microscope looks really bad. I said all of those words really weird.
You wanna do it again?
Apologizes.
No,
Apologizes? Okay. Perfect. Anyways, yes. So, Hayley, what did you think about this one?
Overall, I think I really like this film. I really like how they had the different languages in it, but it made sense. Like I really felt like it was real. You know, sometimes when they make a movie and it's like just all in English and I'm like, nobody would be speaking English this much in this country.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So
Okay.
I appreciate that. Like I really felt like it was very authentic with them kind of switching back and forth between the languages, especially because the main character was from Germany. So she had to use English as kind of like a middle ground language, which I thought was kind of interesting. But that's like not the point of the movie. I just thought, side note.
You
liked
like that part.
Yes, I thought the acting was superb, really well done. I thought that it just brought up some interesting points and kind of, you know, put a new perspective on if, you know, somebody who'd be on trial. So overall, I think I really did like this movie. I think the only thing is it was a bit long. I don't know if that's my personal attention span or if the movie was just truly long. So I think that was the only thing is towards the end, I felt like a twist was coming the way that they kind of were. I felt the movie was going, but then it didn't really have a twist. And I just thought it was kind of long. But what about you?
I feel like, I don't know how I feel about this one, honestly. There's parts of it that I did like, kind of what you were mentioning. I think I do like, and I don't like the way that it ended, how, spoiler alert, you don't get an answer. You don't get an answer if he fell. It could have been that or she murdered him. We don't really get a solid answer, which I like, but I feel like for a 2.5-hour movie with not a lot going on, I was hoping for some kind of reveal, some kind of twist. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that I feel like it was a little lackluster for me. And especially when people are like, this is my favorite movie of 2023. It's like, dang, you like to be blue-balled?
Ma'am.
That's kind of how it feels like. It's like I'm expecting something to happen. I'm expecting for some payoff or something. And like the zoom ins and the way that they were filming it at the end, I was like, okay, we're about to hear somebody say like I'm sorry or something, but nothing. So I think that's the part that I'm like a little iffy on, because it was a longer movie for not like a big payoff, but I think it is much more realistic where it's like, let's say she is actually innocent, but her son doesn't really believe that she's innocent, but chose to keep her instead. And then it's like, well, now I feel like my mom is capable of murder. So that changes your whole dynamic with her. And so I think it is a very interesting movie, but I just don't know how much I liked it. So you think she did it? Let's just talk about that part.
I don't think she did.
Okay.
I don't think, at least in the movie, there was too much for her to gain from that happening. It didn't seem like there would be a reason other than the fact that she just hated him so much. But I wasn't getting that vibe from her that she was just some hateful person. And then when they did kind of bring in some more light into their relationship, like even that argument that they had in the end that was recorded, it did seem like he was trying to find somebody to blame and that he was trying to grasp for anything that just trying to put it on of why he may not be happy with his life. So that combined with some of the stories of the son, when the son started remembering things about the dad too, then I was like, oh, it's possible that maybe he did
have some depressive thoughts.
Yes, have some depressive thoughts that just never really came out, which I think can absolutely happen. Even though the therapist was there, I mean, some people may not even want to tell the therapist, because that makes sense, because that's a whole other thing. So I'm like, so I would say no. And I think that the point of the movie was not that she was guilty. Like, once there was no twist at the end, then I was like, okay, I don't think that she did it, because if there was supposed to be some big thing at the end, they didn't do that. It
might have revealed it, yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like the whole thing was more of a journey, because I know it's like anatomy of a fall, and so obviously you're thinking of like the physical fall that happened, but I think it's also the anatomy, like I think I read in like a review, it's like the anatomy of the fall of their relationship.
Yep.
So once that happened, I was like, okay, I don't think she did it. I think it was more of what would happen if your relationship was put on the spotlight trial, and now you have to explain yourself and all this stuff. So I don't think she did it, but what about you?
I also read a few reviews too where they're like, it's called Anatomy of a Fall, not Anatomy of a Push, and blah blah blah. So they're like picking at the title to be like, I don't think she did it because of that. I went back and forth on it because I'm like, it is very interesting that she was the only one there. Nobody else was there. It was really loud. And I was like, it's also very interesting that we never saw that man ever alive. We didn't see him in the beginning. We heard him making noise. So in the back of my head, because I watch a lot of horror and thrillers, I was like, that man's been dead. It's a ruse. Like, I was like, the son was over here making noise and doing all this and this. So I was like, I don't know. But at the end of it, I still don't really know. I'm really unsure. I don't think like they had enough evidence to show that she was hateful or had some kind of anything to, like you were saying, to gain from like murdering him. But if anything, it seemed like she had a lot more to lose, because if we were to believe the husband, where she spends a lot of time doing her own thing, now who's going to be taking care of the kid? It's going to be her. And so like if she gets rid of the only caretaker that he has, then it's like, then she's hindering herself from doing what she likes. So it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, if you're really angry, then nothing makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it was just very interesting too with the fight that we got to see, where it was like their voices talking and acting it out. We just didn't see the violence. So she was like, oh, he was hitting himself. It's like, interesting of you to say that. For the person that's not here, he could tell us the truth, because there's nobody else that could have seen that. And so that's where we're trusting her a lot, even though she has lied multiple times and her actions were a little strange, where she's like, I'm going to go take a nap underneath this loud ass music. First of all, this song.
I know, I was getting irritated.
I was like, irritated.
Somebody turn that off.
Literally, I was annoyed. But then for them at the courtroom, the whole court procedure, I was like, is this realistic to the French? Because they're messy. They said, so do you think it was like showing that he was jealous because you were talking to a beautiful woman? And she's like, no, I think he just liked the song.
Boy, they're like, I think like, not.
I think her lawyers were like, it was an instrumental, so how would they know it was misogynist?
Boy, they're getting into it. But I think that's what they do in cases. They're like digging. They're like, because didn't you cheat? You're bisexual? I was like, what does that have to do with being spilled?
And then he was like, let me read a passage from this book. I was like, damn.
Like, this is you, right? This you?
She said that she based some of her stuff on real life. So I can go ahead and read this.
I was like, dang, she did not help herself
at all.
She probably didn't think.
But I mean, like,
if she didn't do it.
But I mean, I feel like there's everybody who has fantasies of like violence. Oh, am I outing myself? I hope not. But I feel like a lot of people have creative outlets to be like, I am angry at this person. What would happen if I were to lose control? And they write that in their characters. So like what he was saying, he's like, so is Stephen Killer King. Is he a killer? And he's like, well, he also doesn't have a wife who just died mysteriously. So
I was like, point.
But I think the thing that like I was on the side of the defense was with the blood splatter, because their whole the offense, there's not what they're called, the prosecution.
The offense, dude, not the football game.
the prosecution's explanation of the blood splatter, I was like, this doesn't really add up. And then did we ever talk about like, so was he alive when he hit it and then he crawled away and landed on his back?
Yeah, like, that didn't make sense to me. They said he slid or he crawled. I'm like, did he crawl on his back? Because it didn't look like there was any snow on his chest and then he flipped over.
Yeah, it's true.
Wouldn't you just kind of fall on your stomach? I don't know. I never.
I feel like they didn't really talk about it enough for me to be convinced either way that it was a push or it was a fall.
Yeah, and then they were like, well, she would have hit him, but they're like, she would have had to hit him. And the blood would have had to go all the way down and hit the side.
And there was no other blood anywhere?
Yeah, like I was just like, it just didn't seem, if there was truly a tussle. And I feel like there would have been more of a tussle because, if we're being honest, I'm assuming he would be stronger than her. So not that she can't cause damage or be the final one to push.
Yeah.
But it feels like there would have been more of a struggle in the room.
Yeah. You would have seen more evidence of that.
Yeah, unless they're suggesting that she just came from behind him and then smacked him with something. But I don't think she could just he'd have to be like right at the door, and then she would just push him. So I mean, that's possible.
Yeah. All of these things are very possible, but it was just, there wasn't enough evidence for it to be convincing.
Yeah. What if she really just did? Because it doesn't make sense. Because you're right. She was talking about how, I just was going to go take a nap underneath.
Mm-hmm. Well, first she was like, I was kind of drunk. And so I was going to go to my room and work. And then I took a nap. I'm like, girl, what are we talking about? What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
I feel like what really happened is she did get into an argument, which is completely valid. But then it makes you look like a monster for getting in a fight.
She was trying to come up with another explanation. Because I could see that. Like, you really did go arguing. Y'all were yelling at each other and getting angry, which is why the son heard them. Because remember, he said he heard them talking.
Yeah.
But he was like, but it wasn't like that. But then obviously when they replayed the situation, you cannot hear anybody unless they're yelling. So they're like, they must have been in a fight. So I'm assuming they probably did get in a fight, especially if the fights, the one that was recorded, that can't have been like that. If they fight like that, like, I'm assuming she went in there and was like, bro, are you serious? And so I'm assuming there was maybe a little bit of a back and forth argument. Would that have sent him over the edge to then jump? I don't know. Or the whole time it's just an accident. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he tripped. We don't know.
It's true.
That's also a possibility. Like, nobody.
Because if it was an accident, and it's like, but how do you even recreate those circumstances for it to prove that it was an accident?
There's so many ways that it could accidentally happen. I mean, I don't know. I guess you'd have to look at the room. If there was any handprints, like, kind of smeared.
Or he was trying to catch on something. Yeah. But then with the snow and like it could melt or it could snow. I don't know. It was just like the way they're also talking about the blood, like the blood should have been on the roof. But if we, like, they did the experiment where it melted away. And so you don't see it on the roof anymore. So that could have been what happened too. Because they're like, well, there was nothing on the roof whenever, like, if he fell there and hit himself there, then there should be something there too. But
that's true.
I don't know. I feel like it's so hard. So let's take the stance that she is innocent and it was an accident. He didn't try to do anything. It was just an accident. And then you're the only one home. Y'all probably got really upset with each other because he was being an asshole, which he definitely was. Yeah. How rude. First of all, company. And embarrassing of you to start a fight in front of company, bro. But then it's like, y'all already have a volatile relationship. So you already look guilty. So no wonder why she was trying to lie where she could.
Yeah.
And the son felt a certain type of way too, because he knows their relationship. He knows that they're angry and they get upset with each other. And I mean, there's already a whole bunch of baggage with the accident that happened. Yeah. First of all, you got hit by a motorcycle and the only thing you lost was your vision. That's wild.
Yeah.
Because that's what they said about Daniel, that he got hit by a motorcycle and now he can't see.
Which is terrible.
It is. But like, lucky to be alive at 4 years old. You got hit by a motorcycle and the only thing that's gone is your vision. I don't know how I was going with that. But I think, speaking of Daniel, he definitely lied about that conversation he had with his dad in the car.
You think so? You think he decided, Absolutely. Let me put an end to this? I can't lose both.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if he really trusts that his mother didn't do anything, but it's like, I think you do have to make a decision of like, well, would I rather have one parent or be an orphan? Because now they're both gone if she goes to jail. But I feel like the way it was also shot was that Daniel didn't say any of those words, or Daniel did say all of those words that his father was supposedly saying. And like in the other argument, we saw him, Samuel, that's his name. He was actually talking and not being dubbed over by his wife. But with Daniel, he was the one that was dubbing over what his dad had said.
So verbatim, Daniel might just be actually speaking for his dad and made that up.
Yep.
Well, wasn't there a point when the lawyer, I think it was the main lawyer guy who was talking to Daniel, or it might have been the caretaker or the woman that was there appointed that was talking to Daniel. It was basically like, I mean, at some point you have to pick your truth, kind of. It was like, you're going to have to, whatever you need the truth to be. Like, I don't remember what they were saying, but it did seem like they were kind of like, going to have to pick something.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a case for his made up conversation with his dad, is like, he did decide that he was going to pick, okay, well, my mom, I don't think she'll hurt me. So might as well let her go. But I mean, he was so convinced that the pill thing, because he almost killed his dog.
Yeah. What a fucking experiment. I don't know if that dog was like acting. I don't know what was going on, but that shit was very convincing. I was like, that boy killed his dog.
No, that dog was round of applause. That dog was acting his ass off. I was like, that dog is dead. And then he was alive. I was like, oh my God, that dog, the eyes rolling. I was like, give this man an Oscar.
For real.
But I don't think the kid thought he would die, because the first time the dog didn't die.
He just
kind of was weird. So I think in his mind, he didn't realize that diluted pills versus an actual pill.
That's true.
That's different. True. So that's why I thought, because at first I was like, why would he do that? But I was like, oh, he's probably thinking, well, the dog ate them the first time, but didn't understand that like that's not the same amount.
I thought it was gonna be a little bit more sadistic. Like I thought maybe because he started crying and being like, Marge. I was like, oh, he gonna attack Marge. Like I thought something else was gonna happen there, but nothing did. He was just really scared and he was like, my dog's gonna die. Oops. Poor Snoop, bro. Because
he was going through it. That's the second time he was drugged.
That's true. My boy, he's gone through it. He doesn't deserve that at all. But I kind of want to talk a little bit more about this courtroom stuff because the way that they did their court,
that is very interesting.
Was wild.
I wonder if that's, I'm assuming it's pretty accurate.
That's what I read online. But I felt
like anybody can just speak up. Literally. Because I know during court, if you're being questioned, only one person is questioning at a time. Yep. And theirs was more conversational, like, hey,
did you hear this? What do you think about that?
Like they're going back. Oh. Yes, like she's going back and forth with the expert, and I'm
like, especially her husband's therapist, and she's like, well, like you don't know, you were in our relationship, blah blah blah, and he was like, no, but he was talking to me, and we were talking about you and how you were projecting all this, and I was like, oh,
and I was like, this is
a lot.
I mean, it seemed a little bit like made it more prone to if you're just not, because I feel like the legal game is also how well you can answer questions and think on your feet.
Yep.
So I feel like that puts people at a disadvantage if they are not that type of personality.
Yeah.
And so I kind of don't necessarily,
if you're not quick enough.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, if everybody can ask you questions at all times and there's no like set schedule or process of like you're talking this time, I do feel bad for people. Like if you're quick on your feet and you can go back and forth and come up with things on the fly, like even if you're guilty, you're gonna look great. But if you're somebody who you're like kind of like shy or you don't like to speak up or maybe you just don't think quickly on your feet necessarily, especially in that moment when you're on the spot, like who would?
And especially because she's speaking English and they speak French, and so
they
were
demanding her that at first that she speaks French and that's not her first language, and I was like, that would be really unfortunate. So it did feel very intense and very much like
it was aggravating.
Everybody was in on at all times, and I was like, there's nowhere for somebody to breathe. They're like, prepare.
There was also no like objections. Like I was a little like nobody was like objection hearsay on your honor.
Well, they were, but it wasn't objection. It was like you can't say that because this. Yeah, it was not like not proper, but it wasn't like an official.
Yeah,
because like I know at least in our court system, you have to say objection to interject, but you can't just start talking.
Yeah,
because they would just be like start arguing with the prosecutor and then argue back and forth, and they'd be like, pipe down a little bit, lawyers. And I was like, that's crazy, because in America they would have been like booted out.
Yeah, you're no longer practicing law.
But but who knows, maybe they have like a certain reason they like that format. I mean
I kind of liked it. It was entertaining
for me. I was like, I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that position.
Hell nah.
But I feel like if I were to be on trial, I feel like I have such an attitude. Like if they're coming at me like that, like I feel like I would just look so bad, because they're like, well, did you do this? I'm like, your mom? Like I truly, I'd be like, anyways, like I think I would just be popping off. I'd be bringing up stuff, especially when they're like, well, your husband died right after an argument. That's crazy. I'd be like, oh, well, all y'all spouses died. I bet y'all had an argument not too long ago either. Right. Like I would be popping off. Right.
Exactly.
She looks like a killer. Why would I kill him? Now I gotta take care of the kid
that I don't even like.
And then the panel,
I don't know who the fuck
I'm not sure if they have like a jury or if that's just like
I don't know where the jury was. I don't know
were they behind
sitting there. There's a whole bunch of shit everywhere. There's like papers on papers on papers everywhere. I was like, I was a little
bit confused on like,
is this official? I was confused.
The crowd was just sitting there and I was like, they're not the jury, right?
Cackling. They're like laughing.
I'd have been mad.
It was just so aggravating. Like for me watching, I was like, dang, she can't even like really defend herself.
Because it's hard.
It is. And especially like if you have to translate everything that they're saying into your head into a language you understand, and then translate your response. I could not imagine. I could not
Send
imagine.
me to the jail.
Oh, arrest me now.
No entiendo.
No entiendo.
Just do it. That would be so struggling. But can we talk about her infidelity? Oh. Not her saying that she had multiple affairs. It was like, but it's fine because I told him. I was like, she was like,
so whatever works for y'all. That's what she said.
It didn't, because they said, are you in a open relationship? She was like, no. I was like,
I thought what she said was like, it was open and then it wasn't after that. Like,
oh, okay.
That's what I thought. I thought
she said there was no open relationship. She was like, I was just being honest with my needs.
And I think it was like after Daniel's accident, obviously they weren't having sex, but she's like, I still need to go have sex. And so she would have sex with other people and then talk to them about it. And that was like their open relationship agreement. And then at one point it did close. And then she did cheat. But for them to be like, oh, but you had sex with this person twice and you said you only cheated once. I'm like,
semantics. Exactly. You're being ridiculous.
Come on.
Stop.
Get him out of your judge. No. He's being redonk. But
see that's when I would have been like, are you dumb? When I say once, I mean once an affair. Right. Like, come on. Yeah. And they would have escorted me out.
Yep, they would have.
But that was really wild. I'm like, dang, you did cheat.
She surely did. Not her, like, just out here fucking everybody.
You know, and that's when I was like, Miss Girl.
You didn't think that this was going to cause any kind of problems in your relationship?
Well, yeah. And I get, you know, I'm not saying she's a killer for that, but I was just like,
she might have driven to it.
Really crazy. Well, if anything, I was like, the case looks like you should be dead right now, not him.
Because he was big mad, bro.
He was mad, and I get it. I mean, I kind of don't get him because a lot of what he was arguing about seemed like it was kind of his fault, according to her side. But in the argument, she was like, you made us come out here. Mm-hmm. I had to leave all my friends and family. I had to leave London. I had to do this and this, and I'm still doing my thing, and you're not doing anything. And you wanted to homeschool our kids. She's like,
you didn't have to.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
But I do also understand that sometimes when people are laying things out, it's not always as simple as that.
It's true.
So I'm sure he has his side of
there's nuances to everything.
Exactly, because she might say like lay it out all on paper, but maybe she was more headstrong in her career and he couldn't really break out of that at a certain point and felt like he was supporting her more than anything.
Did she steal his idea? Did she plunder his writing, or was it more innocent?
I think that they probably did have a conversation where she said she liked his idea and then took it. So I don't think she fully stole it, because it did seem like from their argument that there was at least some kind of conversation about it and it wasn't an issue until later.
Yep.
However, I don't know if she's so in her own mind, in her own world, that she doesn't, like, if your spouse has a good idea but they're just not writing it or they're just struggling, I feel like instead of me being like, well, you're not doing it, I'll take it, or I'll kind of take it, it did seem like she maybe wasn't the most supportive. Like, after the accident, she did blame him. Oh, he's not having sex with me? I'll get it somewhere else. Oh, you're not writing that? Okay, well, I'll take it. Like, to me, it never seemed like she truly was trying to figure things out. Like, hey, instead of you not writing this, like, I think this is a really good idea. How can I help you? Or how can we get you to finish the story?
How can we support you?
You know, how can I support you? Obviously, when the accident happened, I think it's normal for everybody to have feelings, some anger, some resentment, some guilt.
Absolutely.
But I think when you move past that, it seemed like she just kind of, instead of them working on the relationship, I mean, maybe he was withholding sex or they weren't having sex for obvious reasons, but instead of her going, okay, let's sit down, how can we fix this together? It was very much like me. Mm-hmm. So it did seem, at least in my opinion, that she did seem a little bit selfish, which was kind of what he was talking about in terms of like, it's always about you.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that might have flared up in other ways, but I do think it's a little bit of both. I think that he did need to step up in his own life and decide that he does want to do something. But I also think that she didn't seem like a team player. She's very much like, you just didn't, so whatever, we didn't. And, you know, it just never happened. It seemed like he needed her to meet him in the middle and she just wouldn't do it. But it also seemed like he was using her as a complete excuse to like, this is why I can't do anything. So I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think either were blameless, probably like most relationships.
Yeah.
A little couples therapy, I think, goes a long way. Don't know if they actually went. It didn't seem like they did because there's no couples like therapist witness, but not that couples therapy is going to fix all relationships and all things. But it did seem like there was not a meeting of the middle somewhere. But what are your thoughts?
What happened in the very beginning of that conversation is he was talking about, you're not picking up enough slack with Daniel, like you're not really involved, like you're not asking for this, and like you don't do this and this and this. And she was like, let's not talk about division of labor, basically. She's like, this is a pointless conversation. So I think that already kind of proves what you were saying, is she is a little bit selfish, and that's what's helped her in her career this whole time, is by putting in the work for herself and doing what she wanted to do and not necessarily listening to what other people expected her to do. And so I think with couples, I think with this whole movie, it was very interesting to see a couple under the spotlight and being like, damn, like she is a murderer. I'm like, dang. If people listen to my conversations with Tristan, they probably think that I'm a murderer.
Roll the tape. I think we have it.
Here we go. But it's just like, it's so easy for us to see their relationships and see their flaws and see where they could like communicate better. But within our own, it's a whole other ballpark. Mm-hmm. And like, for you to also defend like, well, no, like I have the right to do this. It's like, damn, girl, but that man is dead. And so now your whole excuse of like, you deserve to do something like this makes you look bad.
Yeah.
And so I do appreciate that aspect of this film, of us being able to see like, oh, well, if this was me, baby girl, I might be in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking too good.
Yeah. And also very weird of him to be like, I'm just going to record parts of our lives and not tell you when I'm doing it.
Yeah, and then gradually stop telling you when. Because that's also shady. Especially because when somebody is recording, especially during an argument or like kind of a conversation that's could be perceived as negative, mm-hmm. for one person to be aware and the other person not. That's why even during that whole argument, I was like, why? I don't even know his real thoughts, because who knows if he's trying
that's really what he's thinking about.
Yeah,
because it seemed like he was trying to provoke her, because in the beginning she was very chill.
She was super calm, and I'm like, how did this get anywhere?
She's like, this pasta's delicious, honey. And he's like, no, but back to my issue. It's so I feel like he probably was putting on a performance, but they don't want to talk about that part. They want to talk about what she said at the end,
because that's not fair. You can't record somebody, them not know, and you're aware. If nobody knows and somebody just happen to have a recording, okay, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But then if I record us fighting, but I'm kind of manipulating the conversation, or I'm changing my authentic responses to be something that I want it to be, then it's also not fair. So it's like, can you even take that as being real? Because if one person's aware that it's being recorded, the other person isn't, mm-hmm. then it's like you can manipulate the situation. So I also side-eye him for that, unless he truly was doing it for his art. Like, but people then how much of
that can you stop performing? You know what I mean? Because if you're recording, like we're on camera right now, there's a sort there. I mean, we are pretty authentic, I would think, but there's a part of us that we are performing for others. And so how do you record yourself and be like, well, this is who I am.
Yes.
Fuck you, bitch. Like, that's basically
that was good. I felt that.
Thank you. But I don't know if you can ever be authentic while knowing that you're recording. Yeah.
I don't think so. Or to some extent, there's going to be a little bit of awareness that something is being recorded, so you might change it, even if you're not aware that you are. But yeah, that's why I was like, meh. At first, I really thought that he did jump himself, and then I thought he was going to try to blame her. Like, I truly thought that this man kind of set it up.
That's kind of an interesting theory.
I thought they were going to say that. I'm like, honestly, it sounds like he set her up. He left like an argumentative tape.
Could you? Wow. How petty. It's giving Gone Girl.
He sounded a little petty. I don't know. Like, because the way that they were bringing everything up, he just sounded like he just really hated her, was annoyed with his life, and just was like, you know what? I'm going to make her suffer or something. And then just decides to like, wee. And then, so I don't know. That was like another thing that I thought might have been happening. And I didn't know if they were going to dive into that. They didn't. So I don't know,
kind of
but
like that theory.
I wonder if he, out of spite, was kind of like,
I'll show her. Yeah, it is giving Gone Girl, Gone Boy.
Especially if they just had an argument. Yeah, he's like, I'm done with this.
Like, I wonder. Yeah,
but I don't know to what level of pre-planning he would have to do, because they did have the argument on the tape. But I was like, once he recorded their argument, I'm like, this is shady. Why would you? She's like, oh, it was for his what's it called, for his inspiration. But I don't know, I was just like, very convenient. You need an inspiration, but you're just like building a case against her. I do think that at the very least it did bring up a lot of nuances and conversation and things about relationships. So I think I appreciated that. I could tell they really took the time to create this story and to create, like, I truly felt like this couple, this was real. This was a documentary. Like, it really was a couple. How do you dissect something that can't really be dissected like that, especially when one person's not even there? But I really did. I loved how I felt her. I was like feeling nervous for her. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I could not imagine, like, if I truly didn't kill someone and I'm on trial, I would be so scared. Like, you know how scary that is? And you know, like, the more you try to say you didn't, the more it looks like your ass did. I totally feel that, like, if somebody really picked apart me and my life, everything that I ever said, and they try to twist it into like motive for murder, like, that to me is crazy.
It is a scary thing to go through, knowing that there's not enough evidence either way, and that like your actions are a little funky anyways.
First of all, I would have gone up there. Now, after I figured out the circumstances, I see why she didn't immediately go up there. They were already rocky. her ass was cheating. So honestly, that man does have a right to be mad at some level.
Right.
Because not you, that's still so crazy to me. Not you cheating and be like, hey, hon, let's sit down. I just want to tell you what I've been doing. And then like you don't.
I've been fucking this person. They should have just
divorced at that point, because what are we doing here? I wish my man would sit me down. Hayley, I know we've been going through some stuff, but you have not been giving me booty.
Right.
So I found some booty.
But I still love you. I want to be with you.
I'll let you know if I do it again. Like what? What are we talking about here? But,
and then like, is that it? Like, do you ask for like?
Yeah. What do you want me to say? Is this
cool for you too? It's like, no, it's not.
Because now. Yeah, I'm surprised she was still alive, because the way that man was moving, I thought she was the one. So I'm going to go with the narrative that he tried to frame her, because he just was like so angry. In his afterlife, he's like, I'm going to get her. She's going to prison.
And then, he still lost that argument, that battle. She's not even in prison anymore. She's free.
She's free of you.
Ooh, now she's free to do what she wants.
That's crazy. You can't even grieve properly, because imagine that you probably love your spouse, but you guys are in a situation where you guys aren't really getting along. Imagine they pass away and you're upset about that, but then now they dissect your relationship and now you get mad all over again. Like, what would you even feel? And then you're done, and then you're like, well, I just had to go through all that. So now I'm kind of pissed at my partner.
That person's not even there for you to be mad at anymore.
They're not even here, but somehow I'm still pissed at him, because how dare you put me in this damn position? Because you want to do something. You want to fall, or you want to jump, or you want to do whatever. I'd be like, how do you even
move forward?
Grieve that or move forward? Could not imagine.
And I feel like that's what it was kind of showing whenever her and her lawyer boyfriend, I don't know who that man was.
Did he say he loved her?
He did.
Okay, I said, okay, this woman might be. They didn't do anything though, right?
Not then.
Okay.
I wonder if they had sex at one point, but I'm not quite sure. But I feel like that's whenever she held his face, because it looked like they were going to kiss. I wonder if that was going through her mind. It's like, man, I don't know if this is a good time. She's like, I'm ready to get out this relationship and fucking other people, but he is dead and I just got out. So.
Yeah, that's why I was like, why is he? How rude. Even if you do have feelings for someone, why are you confessing them as she's going through trial for her husband that passed away? Like,
and for you, because I think that her lawyer does not trust that she had nothing to do with it.
I think he was like, girl, it's fine.
Which I kind of like it. You're a little crazy.
He's like, babe, I'm in love. I don't care what you did,
as long as it's not me on the other end of that.
Sir,
there was a lot of
already messy. I don't need my lawyer confessing his love to me, because guess what that's gonna do if somebody finds out?
Right, y'all gonna look real
it's bad. Now a lover's triangle. And I had to get rid of my husband.
You're in jail too with me. Oh,
girl, yeah, that was a mess. One last thing is just the son. Whenever I don't know, because the son was tripping me out too, because at one point he did forget, like he didn't like the level of the voices
and the tape
that he kind of forgot where he was. And I'm like, okay, I don't even.
But how do you not know that you're inside or outside? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get that he can't see. It seems like he has a good grasp on, okay,
but
inside,
that's what's very
outside,
confusing.
Like it's cold. I'm like,
right. He was also very convinced too, where he was like, no, each tape has a different texture. Like, I know where each tape is. Like, I felt this tape here and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And the back of my head, I was like, maybe someone moved the tape and they're fucking with him. Or maybe he was just like, oh, this isn't going well, so I have to make it seem like I was inside. Yeah. I don't know.
Or maybe the trauma of it all, like truly, maybe he just started to not make up stuff. Maybe he was getting confused. Or if the dad was planning it.
And he switched
He's like, let me switch these tapes. So then the son, if the dad, he said this is about to be the best murder mystery ever. But yeah, the son I was kind of like, okay.
That part was
either A, he is kind of lying for his mom, or B, I do know that like witness testimony is very unreliable. It's
shaky. Yeah. You can't trust it.
I do get that he might be like, was I here? I mean, I saw her. I thought I was outside, but maybe the timeline was different when I came back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how I would feel under pressure if it's like you need to relive that one day and like the most mundane aspects of it compared to your father getting murdered or killed or whatever. And it's like, so were you inside or outside? What tape did you touch? It's like, bro, I don't know.
Yeah.
I touch tape every day. How am I supposed to know?
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe on the way down, he did hear them inside. But really was when he got outside, maybe he couldn't really hear them. So he said, oh, I heard them when I was outside. But maybe he's like, oh, maybe I was inside. I don't know if I heard them. Because you're right. It's very mundane things. He's like, my parents are fighting or whatever.
It's stuff that you take for granted. And it's like whenever you're asked to recall exactly what happened and what you did, and he's like, what, 11? I don't know how old he is. He's young. It's a lot of pressure to put on you.
To ask you, what were you thinking and doing exactly at this time? What do you remember? It's like, I don't even remember what I just did.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. And then you think that your mom also killed your dad a little bit, probably like 50% sure that she's a murderer.
Yeah. But but if she also did kill him, I feel like she would have called 911 earlier to like let the body sit and then allow your son to find him.
And that was like what she was like, I don't think he would have done it, because why would he do it when Daniel's here where he could have found him?
Exactly. So that's why it's also like, well,
but then also for her to be like, oh, well, he did swallow a whole bunch of aspirin that one time. But she said that way later into the milk.
Yeah, she should have. I don't think she realized that it was that serious. At least from what I saw, it seemed like she was like, okay, whatever. But then once it started getting more intense, she's like, oh, shit, like I should have said something.
Yeah.
But I get it, because then once you start to unravel, like, could you imagine like somebody sits you down and was like, okay, like every single thing that I need to know.
Yeah.
But like, because like if your spouse did have a moment where they did take too many pills, like that's very personal. So if you're not thinking you're really going to be persecuted and you think you can withhold information to not share in an official file for it to get out,
that's true.
I could also see that you're trying to protect somebody if you're not thinking like this truly could go to trial. So that's why I also don't know if she did it, because I feel like she would have been a little bit more prepared to back herself up had she actually done something.
Or if it was just out of emotion and she just struck, and then, you know, you have to backpedal after that. So you weren't planning. It was.
Exactly. That's true. But I could see how you might not. Or maybe she thought she did a good job. She was like, this was good.
Oh, and that one time, like, she was trying to be organic. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't think it really helped in any case. I mean, maybe it helped with her son, the case for her son, like where she was guilty or not in his eyes. Maybe that's whenever things changed, when he was like, oh shit, I kind of remember that one time when my dog almost died. Yeah. So maybe that's, I don't know. I feel like if anything, it hurt your case, because now you're over here talking about, oh, I think he might have tried to have done something way before, but there's no evidence, and you just now said something interesting. Makes you look guilty, which is just, I guess, the whole thing of it. You do a lot of things that make you look guilty all the time. Yeah. But what do you give this one?
Let's see, Scale. What are we doing? Scale of
5. 1 to 5.
5. I think I'll give this one a 3. Yes. What about you?
I'm like stuck between like a 2.5 is too low, but I feel like a 3 is like a little high. So I was very unsatisfied.
2.7.
Yeah, I guess so. But calling it that makes it sound like it was a bad movie. I don't think it was a bad movie. I think it was a great film. I think it was done really well. The acting was really good. It was just the payoff for me wasn't what I wanted it to be.
But just because we expected a twist, does that mean that we have to then put it on the movie?
I don't know. That's where it's like, there's this one movie, I've talked about it before, where I expected a lot from the trailer. Okay. Like the trailer made it look like a whole other film, and then when I watched it, I was disappointed. I don't think that's unfair of me to put that bias on there, because it is my point of view, my perspective. Yeah, okay. But I don't know. I guess I just was wanting a little bit more. I don't think that's wrong of me to want.
This is something wrong with me wanting more. More of life.
I don't know. Were you thinking that something else was going to happen at the end?
Oh, for sure. Because it kept dragging. I'm like, all right, why are we still here? And I was like, the son is going to be like, it was me. I'm like,
right. He's like, I saw you or something.
When he was like, he's like, bro, I've been lying to y'all. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a twist, just the way they were doing it.
But there was nothing. It literally ended her with her hugging Snoop and calling it a day.
Yeah, and I was like, all right.
Perf.
Well, that was great.
I think it's a not fun. I think it's a
super fun.
It was a great time, but I think it has some interesting topics for you to discuss. And I think having a marriage fall apart in front of everybody on a trial, it's a very interesting thing to do. Would it be your top movie of 2023?
No,
me neither.
No. Is this the one that's up for an Oscar maybe, or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
It could be.
Because I know Oscar season's coming around. So we're going to be.
I think the Academy stuff happened recently too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening. I'm not caught up. You would think
you would.
Since when we talk about movies, I would know a little bit more. But if you like things that are ambiguous, go ahead, Hayley. What were you saying? What'd you say?
I said a little murderous.
Then you can follow Hayley at. But you can follow us on Instagram at Hayley and Kayli. We also have a TikTok at. Is it Press Podcast still? Or
I think it's Hayley and Kayli.
One of those.
We're somewhere on there.
You could find us. We're there. Where we have TikToks about other things. It's in a similar setting, but we're not talking about movies. Listen.
We talk about a little everything.
But what else do we have?
We have YouTube. You can find us at Hayley and Kayli if you're watching us now. If you're not, check us out. We have videos, all of our movie reviews on there, as well as some other fun videos that we do.
Yes.
We also have a email, so you can email us at presspodcast@gmail.com. Anything, any recommendations, any of your thoughts, all the good stuff. You can also find us anywhere that you listen to your podcasts.
As long as it's audio, no.
As long as it's Spotify or Apple. But who uses anything else? I don't know.
I don't know what other options we have. But let us know what you thought about this movie down below in the comments. What was your favorite movie of 2023? I think my top one would probably have to be Talk to Me. As we discovered, it was our 5-star rating.
Oh, yes. Our only 5-star this entire time.
So, exciting times.
Very exciting. So. Well, stay tuned. We're going to be reviewing some of the best of 2023, and especially leading up to the Oscars. And hopefully watch some Oscar-nominated movies. I know those aren't out quite yet, but that is what we'll be doing
shortly. So, whenever you see the list, figure out what you want to watch, and we'll talk about maybe some of them. I can't make any guarantees about which ones.
Overall, like this film. And so sorry, I'm really nasally. I was going to try to like not be nasally, but that's not happening.
Try a little harder.
that
was actually...
I thought...
Oh, no.
I think that if I talk like this, it's a little better.
It's scary. I don't like that.
Okay, never mind. All right, never mind.